and welcome back to another question and answer segment, Ask the Designer. So today I have a few questions a little bit more in depth, I want to say, or more detailed. So stay tuned, let's go. All right, first question is, how long does a full room project usually take from start to finish? And well, a realistic timeline for professionally designed room can range anywhere between 6 to 12 weeks, depending on the scope of that project. So if it's furnishing and styling project, no construction, then you can expect between 6 to 8 weeks. That is including sourcing and ordering and installing. If it's remodeling and we need custom work and we need tradesmen and that kind of thing, then that 6 to 8 weeks can easily stretch to 12 to 16 weeks or even longer, depending on the complexity of the design, of the job, of the work involved. So design is both creative and logistical, and the logistic parts like back orders and shipping and contractor scheduling can take a lot of time. So always allow a small cushion in your timeline to cater for these kinds of things. Rushed projects can lead to costly mistakes and or it compromises on quality. So cater for 6 to 8 weeks if it's just furnishing and styling. If it involves a little bit more work like construction and tradesmen and custom, 12 to 16 weeks easily or even longer. Another question: what can cause delays in the design process and how do you prevent them? Well, delays can be caused by a number of different things. Some of these include product availability, client indecision, or even contractor coordination. So for example, a single out of stock fabric for a sofa can push that timeline back by weeks. Or let's say waiting too long to make a decision on a mood board or a sample can cause a domino effect on everything down the line, because if a decision isn't made to make a purchase, then we can't go ahead and continue with the design because we're waiting for that particular item to put into the design, or we're waiting for that particular item for the contractors to use to make the space ready for install. So best way to prevent something like that is decisiveness and preparation. We have to trust your designer, trust the design process, because designers, you hire them to help you to get through this process, right? You hire them to make the decisions that you can't, and when presented with one, it's because we know that it is going to work in that design. So trust your designer, be a little bit more decisive in terms of making approvals a bit more quickly so that things can just keep rolling. On our end, what we can do to prevent delays, although some of it can be out of our control, so detailed project timelines, reliable contractors and tradesmen, and realistic sourcing options to keep everything on track. That's what we can do. So in that regard, even the best run projects can have small hiccups, and I think clear communication on both sides is what keeps them from becoming major delays. So trust the process, be decisive, and everything will run a bit more smoothly. Okay, next question is, at what stage of building or renovating should I bring in an interior designer? Ideally, as soon as possible before construction begins. Before construction begins, or as soon as possible. All right, so designers can help you shape your floor plan, help you with your lighting plan, help you with the flow of the home, and when brought in early, we can flag functional and aesthetic issues before they come up. That is going to save you time, money, and stress later on. As designers, we are not just here to choose paint colors and finishing touches. Bringing us in early can avoid a lot of costly mistakes. If you wait until after construction starts, you'll likely spend more time and money revising what was already done. So think of your interior designer as part of your build team and not an afterthought. All right, bring us in early. The sooner, the better. As soon as possible. Okay? All right, next question. How much should I realistically budget for furnishing a living room from scratch? So, this isn't set in stone, but this is just my recommendation. For a high quality, comfortable, and a cohesive space, plan to invest between 10 and 25,000. And that is going to also depend on your taste, the size of the room, and quality level. That includes major pieces like sofa, chairs, rugs, coffee table, art, lighting, and decor. You can spend less, but you likely still sacrifice comfort for that finished designer look. Quick rule of thumb is your rug and your sofa should most likely will take up about 60% of your budget because they get the most use and they are the pieces that anchor the space. Another question, is it worth investing in custom furniture or should I stick to retail pieces? Custom furniture is worth it when it solves a specific problem or elevates your space in a way that retail cannot. For example, if you need a sectional that perfectly fits a tricky layout, a custom size can most definitely change how that room functions. Next question. Where should I splurge versus where can I save without sacrificing style or quality? Okay, so I say splurge on items that you use often, items that get the most daily use, and items that define your space. So for example, sofa, bed, dining tables, good lighting. I will even go so far as to say a good rug, right? Things that you can save on are accent pieces like accent furniture, side tables, trendy decor. Those things don't really get much use, so you can save there. What you have to think about is longevity. If it touches your body or anchors your layout, invest in it because you don't want to have to be changing out sofas and beds frequently. Those things are made to last a long time. So yeah, if it's purely decorative and easily replaceable, don't waste money on those items. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our question and answer segment for today. If you have any questions that you would like me to answer specifically, send them in and I'll answer them for you. Until then, see you next time.